Hey guys, it's Melanie. Welcome to my channel. Today starts my May wrap-up vlog, so stay tuned. So it is currently Wednesday, May 13th. Yeah, I'm starting a little late, but at this point, I have literally only completed one book. I know, right? By this time last month, I think I had completed like 10 books or something like that. But I started with pretty much my two biggest books, and well, one of them I finished and the other I'm still working on. So I started out this month listening to the audiobook of Outlander by Diana Gabaldon. I had to look it up. I listened to it on an app through my library called RB Digital. It was something that I spun on my wheel, and I wanted to start with that because I didn't have a physical copy of it in my house to like remind me I need to read this book. So I started out with that one, and I had low expectations going in because it's a historical romance, essentially. That's what it says, like on Goodreads, that it's a historical romance. But it didn't really read like traditional historical romances that I've read. It read more like just this epic journey, this adventure, and it's like a little bit sci-fi, a little bit historical, a little bit romance, and I just really enjoyed it. I ended up giving it 4 stars. It's about a girl, or a woman, named Claire who, well, she's from the 1940s. They're in her and her husband are in Scotland because he is doing some research on his ancestry. One particular ancestor, and she's big into botany and things like that, and they end up finding this like circle of stones, and they go and they see like this whole ritual thing there, and then she returns the next day to pick some of the flowers that are around this area, and she ends up going through the stones somehow and ends up in the 1740s. She's from the 1940s. She ends up in the 1740s, and very much not dressed appropriately for the time, and doesn't speak right or act right, and the English think she is some kind of spy, like a Scottish spy or something, and the Scottish think she's some kind of English spy, and she ends up kind of trapped there where she keeps trying to find her way back to these stones, but she keeps getting into trouble, and the English want to have her essentially arrested and punished for being a spy, and the Scottish now believe that she's obviously not a spy, and she has helped them a lot, and they want to try to help her and keep her from being arrested by the English. So the only way they could do that is if she is Scottish, and so the only way for her to become Scottish is to marry a Scot, and she marries Jamie Fraser. And I love Jamie. I had a hard time thinking about him though originally when I first started going through the book, because I've been reading the Game of Thrones series and my brain kept going Jamie Lannister, but it's not Jamie Lannister, it's Jamie Fraser, and I think Jamie Fraser is so much better than Jamie Lannister. Very different people. But yeah, it's so good. And I mean, there are obviously things that I don't like, but it's the way things were back then. So I have to kind of not think with my 21st century brain and think about how things actually were back in the 1700s. And yeah, I was surprised at how much I enjoyed it. And I do intend on reading the entire series. I really, really liked it. And hopefully tomorrow, I'm not entirely sure, but hopefully tomorrow I can complete my second book. I actually finished Outlanders on May 4th, and I started my second book on May 4th. And I've been listening to it. I haven't been physically reading anything yet this month, but I've been listening to A Storm of Swords, and I've still got a lot left. That's a gigantic book, like 1170 pages, gigantic book. But I'm working my way through it, and I'll share my thoughts on that later. But hopefully I can finish it tomorrow because I've got a long road trip, and hopefully I can knock it out during that. Alright, I'm gonna go, and it'll probably be, I hope, tomorrow, the next time I talk to you. So it is Thursday, May 14th, and I have completed my second book of the month. It only took me 10 days, but I have completed A Storm of Swords. Yay. And I have to say, this is my favorite out of the 3 that I've read so far of the Game of Thrones series. And I give it a 3.5. I'm finally getting to where I care about the characters. I'm finally getting to the point that I'm more interested in their story. And I'm also really liking how in this book, they, like, the Stark kids, their stories are all kind of like crossing paths and interweaving with each other now. And it's like everybody's just missing each other. And I'm enjoying Jon Snow's story and loving Tyrion. Tyrion just steals my heart, and he is so funny. Oh my gosh. Though he didn't really have a whole lot of quips in this one that he did in the other ones, but you really got to see his kind heart in this. He's the only good Lannister. Though Jaime Lannister did redeem himself like this much by helping Tyrion, but then he went and spoiled it by admitting something terrible that he had done to Tyrion. So there's that. But I was on the fence on, actually I wasn't even on the fence. I was saying I wasn't going to read anymore after this book. But this book changed my mind, so I probably will continue the series because it doesn't suck so much. And now that I've gotten this massive book out of the way, I can hopefully fly through the other several books that I need to read this month and hopefully get them all done. We'll see. So it is Wednesday, May 20th. Yeah, 2/3 of the way through this month. I have completed 2 more books for a total of 4 this month. Granted, the first 2 books I completed this month, the ones I've already told you about, they were massive books. But yeah, I've only completed 2 more. So on Sunday the 17th, my mother and I completed The Reader by Tracy Chee. We were listening to the audiobook, but at a certain point I started following along in the book because, in my opinion, this book needs to be physically read, or you need to be reading it. Like, if you're listening to the audiobook, you need to be physically following along, because there's so much that you won't get if you just listen to the audiobook. For example, she talks about this book in here, and in the audiobook you don't know when, like, the difference between what's actually happening and what's just something from this book. And in here, when it's something that's the book, it's obvious because the pages are like this. It shows you the book. But there's also things that you wouldn't have known, like certain things marked out and stuff like that that is in the physical book. And then also, not every page has this, but just every few pages or so, you'll find a word down by the page numbers. And like here you see the word paper. If you follow, like if you go from the front and read all the words that are by the page numbers, there's like a secret message. And I don't know, I definitely recommend physically reading, whether it's listening and reading or just reading. This book was so good. I gave it 5 stars. I was so impressed. I was completely engaged. I had to stop the audiobook many times so we could discuss what's going on in the book. And my mom and I were both like constantly trying to guess who so-and-so was, or how these things are connected, or just all kinds of theories that we came up with. Okay, so our main character, Sephia, she, as a young child, I think she was like 9 years old, witnessed her father being murdered. And then she has to follow this escape plan that they taught her her whole life. And in part of this escape, she gathers this rectangular object and she stores it with her. It's the only thing that she has that that came from her parents. And she goes to her Aunt Nin, who raises her, and her aunt is like an expert thief, pickpocket, whatever, and she's known as the locksmith. And they move from place to place when things get too hairy for them, and her Aunt Nin is kind of like teaching her the trade, I guess. And there's also this kind of sinister thing looming that is after her family. And Sephia witnesses her Aunt Nin being captured and brutalized by these people, and then is taken away. So she is hiding during this time. So she like spends the majority of the story seeking out her Aunt Nin, trying to find her, trying to help her, and also trying to get revenge. And throughout it, she's also learning about this rectangular object that she has, which happens to be a book. And they're in a very illiterate world where people can't read or write or anything like that. And books are magic. Like, the words are magical, and it was so good. I highly recommend it. And then I decided to read a classic because I was like, you know what, I need to get through some shorter books. So I picked up The Sun Also Rises by Ernest Hemingway. I gave this 2 stars. I did complete it. But honestly, I don't understand why this was a masterpiece, why this is like a big deal. I didn't see the point of it at all. It's like this group of people, they've, sick and tired of being in Paris. Some go to New York, some come back. Most of the story is about them, like, they go from Paris to Spain, and they see bullfights, and they party, and then they all go their separate ways, and that's the story. That's it. It was like just taking a little slice of these people's lives, and you see it there, but really no point in the story. So yeah, I give it 2 stars. This was not for me. So it is Sunday, May 24th. Yeah. And I've completed only one more book. I actually completed it on the 21st, but I haven't gotten around to filming my wrap up for it. But I completed Glitter by April Lynn Pike, and I was really surprised by this book. I thought it was going to end up being like something really cheesy, and I thought it was going to be very like, when it talks about glitter is a drug, I thought they were talking about actual glitter. But there's a drug that is called glitter just because it sparkles. And our main character, Danica, she lives in the Palace of Versailles, where outside in the rest of the world, it's modern day, but inside the Palace of Versailles, everybody has to act and dress and everything like it's the 18th century. It's very bizarre. But she's sort of trapped here. At first, it was this wonderful, amazing thing getting to live there, but now it is a burden. And she witnesses this boy king murder a girl, and her mother is there as well and kind of sees what happens and takes this to her advantage and forces the king to be engaged to Danica, and says that he has to marry Danica within 1 week of her turning 18, or she's going to out him for murder. Otherwise, she'll cover it up for him. Danica's not happy about this. She doesn't want to be married to this boy that just murdered a girl in front of her. And I mean, she wasn't really all that into him anyway, but she really isn't into him now. And she just wants to escape. She doesn't want to be in this palace anymore. She wants to be out in the real world. And she knows a person who knows a person, and they're willing to help her get out. When she shows up, the person's like, you know, it's going to be 500,000 euros, and she's got jewels and all of this to trade, until he sees her face and realizes she's so well known, the entire world knows who she is because she's engaged to the king. And he's like, no, I can't touch you. I can't help you. Sorry. And he kind of makes a ridiculously lofty goal of, okay, the only way I'll do it is for 5 million euros, and not jewelry or anything like that, actual euros. And she thinks this is impossible to do until she learns about this drug called glitter and figures out a way to use it to her advantage. She puts it into like time specific makeup, and yeah, she works on raising money that way. But she only has 6 months to raise 5 million euro in order to escape before she has to get married. But things don't quite work the way she hopes. And there's drug dealing, there's espionage, there's political intrigue, there's murder, there's like multiple murders and multiple deaths, and there's a lot going on in this book. And I was impressed, and I think I want to give this 4 stars. I really am looking forward to reading the next one, and I'm glad I actually already have that on my shelf. But yes, I'm surprised at how much I like this. So yay, I've now completed 5 books. It's the 24th and I've only completed 5 books. I am so behind. I don't know if I'm going to get caught up. I don't think I can. Not with everything I still have left to read. I'm probably going to end up having books have to roll over into next month. Great. So it is May 27th and I've completed 2 more books. I can't remember exactly what day I completed this. I want to say around the 23rd, 24th, I don't know. But I finished All the Ever Afters by Danielle Teller, and I think I give this 3.75. I really enjoyed it. It very much gave me, so I have these books. They're Disney, the other side of the story books, where you get like the evil queen side of the story, or Cinderella's stepmother side of the story, things like that. And it reminded me a lot of that. But I did enjoy this. It was interesting, yeah, seeing this side of the story. And like in the Disney one, I have Cinderella's a little bit of a brat, and she was in here as well, but it wasn't like the stepmother wasn't like hating on Cinderella so much in this one. I really enjoyed it. I just don't know that I would actually read it again. That's why I'm giving it a 3.75. But it's pretty self-explanatory. It's the stepmother's story, and it was kind of like how she became, like, it starts in her childhood and goes through and leads up to how she ended up becoming the stepmother, and her perspective of how the events unfolded, that Cinderella became this princess and all of that, and her dealing with being penniless and living in the castle and all of that. But yeah, it's pretty good. I do recommend it. And then today I finished Summer Days and Summer Nights, 12 Love Stories, edited by Stephanie Perkins. I actually give this 4 stars. I really enjoyed it. There's not a lot of anthologies that get 4 stars, and I really loved this. It was great. It was just a bunch of sweet stories. Some were hilarious. There's like, I think it was like the second one was they're working in this movie theater that's about to shut down, and a movie that's playing, it's like a horror theater, and this movie that's playing possesses all of the people, and they start becoming demons, and they're like running for their lives, and that's kind of what brings them together. It was hilarious. There were a lot of really cute stories, some fantastical, some just cute contemporary stories, and I enjoyed them all. So 4 stars for this. And I'm hoping that I can finish like 5 more books in the next, what, 4 days? It's not gonna happen. We'll see though. So it is Monday, June 1st, and I need to wrap up this wrap-up vlog. And if you're wondering what's going on here, I'm in the middle of an extreme hair makeover, so I had to hide what's going on for now. You'll see what happens in a future vlog, or a vlog that I'm currently filming. But anyway, so I did end up finishing one more book. I finished The Diabolic by S.J. Kincaid, and I'm so glad I read this because I really enjoyed it. I thought I didn't really think I was going to be that into it, because it seemed, I don't know, just the synopsis and stuff didn't really super appeal to me, but I was intrigued enough to purchase it. And then I also ended up getting the sequel, but I don't know, I just kept putting off reading it because I kind of had lost interest in how it sounded. But I'm so glad I read it because it was so good. So there are these beings called diabolics, and Nemesis is diabolic, and she is bred to be this, well, killer, and they're bonded with one person to love and cherish that person over everything, including themselves, and to protect that person at all costs. And Nemesis is bonded to Sidonia, and Sidonia is the daughter of this senator, and this is all set in space too. So the senator, he is after things changing in their politics because kind of education and science and all this kind of stuff has pretty much been banned, and he wants to bring these things back, as well as a few other senators. And the emperor does not like that, and first he orders all of the diabolics except for his own to be destroyed. And well, they don't destroy Nemesis. They kind of hide the fact that they don't destroy her. And then the emperor calls forth the children of all of these senators that he has a problem with, and they send Nemesis, or they make Nemesis look like a normal girl, and they send her in the place of Sidonia because they're afraid that these children are being sent there to be killed. And Nemesis is like, she's not gonna let that happen. And Sidonia loves Nemesis and doesn't want anything bad to happen to her, so Sidonia says, you have to come back or I'll kill myself. So Nemesis was gonna go there to take the place for Sidonia and give up her life for Sidonia's, but now she has to keep herself alive, because if she doesn't, Sidonia won't stay alive. And there's so much more, and I can't really say any more than that without spoiling things, but there's murders, there's court intrigue, there's just a lot of really cool stuff, and I really look forward to continuing this series. I think I would give this 4 stars. And this is the final book that I finished in the month of May. I did not read as much as I would have liked. I only read 8 books in the month of May. So this is what I read, plus Outlander by Diana Gabaldon, which, hold on, I do have a physical copy now. So this is actually what I read in the month of May. And I mean, it's not bad, but it definitely doesn't compare to the 22 that I read in April. But I mean, these are some, well, these two, this one and this one, are some chunky books, because this is like 800 and something pages and this one's like 1100 and something. So I'm not terribly upset with myself, but I do wish I could have read some more. So have you read any of them? Did you like them? Did you not? Comment down below and let me know. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, give me a big thumbs up. If you'd like to see more videos like this, click that subscribe button down below. And until next time, remember to always be completely you. Bye!